What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Kanye West and Dolla Sign's collab album Vultures. Technically, this is Vultures 1, the first of apparently a three-part album. Vultures 1 released on February 10th in the early morning hours. At the time of recording, it is available on Tidal and Apple Music, but not on Spotify. Of course, these things are subject to change. Of course, this is an album that had, I think, a fair amount of anticipation. There's been multiple listening events, including just the past few days, and this felt like a real album, a real project from Kanye in a way unlike, say, Donda 2, which infamously came out in a very incomplete and clearly half-assed format, available only on the stem player. That was not a real album release, and unsurprisingly, it never ended up getting finished, despite what had been said about that. Vultures is coming, of course, at a time of great turmoil for Kanye as an artist, as a person. He, of course, has been dropped by Def Jam, his label for, many, many years, of course, due to his own doing, of course, saying anti-Semitic things, and in general, just his cult of personality getting out of control. And as a result, Vultures is coming out on the Yeezy, spelled Y-Z-Y, like Yeezy, like independent label under Kanye and Ty. This album does not have distribution as far as we know, which probably explains why it's not on Spotify right now. I'll be curious if the success or lack thereof of Vultures leads to Kanye securing some kind of distribution moving forward. I would not be shocked to see perhaps smaller companies such as United Masters want to get back in business with Kanye. And yeah, ultimately, I think people are still going to show up for his music, even if we've kind of written off most of the things he says in public and outside of his music. Kanye is a complicated guy. He has said fucked up things for a long time. Even though he has apologized for these anti-Semitic remarks, I would hope he continues to kind of right those wrongs just because he said a lot of messed up things. That being said, people are going to listen to the music. I'm going to listen to it. I'm not going to begrudge anyone who doesn't want to listen, of course, but I'm just going to get into the music from then on out. This, of course, is a collab album from Kanye. Of course, he's done these before. Watch the Throne with Jay-Z, Kid See Ghost with Kid Cudi, not to mention the good music stuff like Cruel Summer. Dolla Sign himself has also made some collab albums with Division and Jeremiah. And I actually think it's a great idea for Kanye to make a collab album right now, just because thinking about how Donda went, thinking about how Donda 2 especially went, I think Kanye kind of needs to kind of lean on someone to fill out some of those songs. And just plainly speaking, having Dolla Sign there to, via his singing, occupy space on half of a song, sometimes more than half of the song, that does a lot of good, because Kanye's writing has obviously been so inconsistent, so up and down, and I'd say more down than up in the last 5 years. Really post Pablo, post Kid See Ghosts, really, it's been mainly down. And when you get like sharp writing, sharp bars from Kanye, it's a welcome surprise, like it is on Vultures 1 when those songs do pop up. So I think having some kind of creative partner like Kanye has found in Ty, I think it actually makes a lot of sense. It kind of serves both of them well. Ty also is someone who, God knows, 15 years now at this point, has been a great guest, been a great collaborator, always fits well on songs with others. So it makes it's no mistake that, or no surprise that Kanye and him kind of fit well together. And I think a lot of the hype with Vultures 1 has kind of been, regarding the snippets that we've been teased, a very modern way to promote music, of course. Namely, of course, that would be the song Everybody, sampling liberally Everybody Backstreet's Back by the Backstreet Boys. When that was first teased by Kanye and Ty, that got a lot of people's attention because I thought it was a really awesome sample and sounded great. And it's tore the roof off when it was played at the listening events. That song is not on Vultures 1. I'd imagine that is because that sample has not yet been cleared, and the Backstreet Boys probably realized that they can get a really nice check for that, or maybe they don't want to be affiliated with Kanye at all and they won't clear it. Who can say? So maybe we'll get that with Vultures 2 or Vultures 3. Those albums are supposed to come out on March 8th and April 5th. I would say, of course, take that with a very grain of salt. If we never get Vultures 2 and 3, I would not be shocked in the slightest. So for right now, I think we should treat Vultures 1 as its own body of work, and it's a full body of work, 16 songs, 56 minutes long, and it feels complete. It doesn't feel half-assed or unfinished the way Donda 2 did, so I'm very happy about that. But let's kind of just leave Vultures 2 and 3 to the side, Also not on Vultures 1 would be New Body, which of course is a song that's been leaked out in full years in the past. Kanye, Ty Dolla $ign, and Nicki Minaj song that blew up virally, in an unreleased format because it's really great. Amazing Nicki feature as well. And that song was supposed to be on Yandi or So Help Me God or some other unreleased Kanye album, Jesus is King 2, whatever it was supposed to be on. And it didn't come out. And Kanye apparently did ask Nicki to clear it for Vultures, and Nicki said no, the time has passed, etc., etc. I thought that was actually a pretty clever idea, given the fact that Ty is already on the song, to bring that in and kind of retcon New Body into the Vultures experience. That would have been a really cool idea, because again, people like the song. We know the song already. If you wanted it, you already downloaded it. It's not like it's not out there. Disappointed that Nicki didn't say yes to that, and also she probably should have said yes to that, given she could have used a positive headline given the Megan Thee Stallion disaster recently. Anyway, New Body is also not on this, but we do have on Vultures 1, as I said, 16 songs, and there's a lot here. And if you look at the credits that we have, and the credits are not completely out there yet, but the credits we do have, it's a lot of familiar faces on the writing side after Kanye and Ty. We have James Blake, we have No ID, we have Sci-Hi, we have Beam, we have Ant Clemens, we have 2 beats from JPEG Mafia. First time him and Kanye officially collaborating. Very cool. This feels like a Kanye record. And I think also just kind of vibe, before I get into the song-by-song stuff, vibe-wise, this is a darker album from Kanye in terms of the vibe of the production, the sound of the production. But also lyrically, it's pretty dark, serious. And it's certainly the darkest and most serious stuff he's made since Yeezus, which I think is pretty interesting. Also, I think Kanye sounds a bit self-aware of his current situation and how people feel about him, think about him, and the things that have happened to him, again, largely due to his own mistakes. He seems pretty aware of that on the album, despite, still making a lot of Kanye-isms and some Kanye-ass bars and things of that nature. So, all in all, I have a pretty positive takeaway on Vultures 1. I think it's pretty good as far as late period Kanye goes. Does this hold a candle to early or mid period Kanye? No, obviously not. But as far as the late period stuff goes, there's some good takeaways. There's some cool stuff on here. I think the beats generally are almost always really interesting. There's some really good production on this. Kanye's ear for production, and also ear for samples, as we know from some of the unreleased stuff. That's still there, and at least we can hang our hat on that. So, that being said, let's kind of jump into the songs. All right, so as I said, 16 songs. Right off the bat, I think it starts kind of quietly. You have the first song, Stars, with this notable, background chorus. The second song, Keys to My Life, with Idiot Love vocals. I think these songs are okay, not really much to revisit on those. Track 3 is probably the first notable song, which is Paid, notably featuring Kanye doing a baby voice, a la Playboy Cardi. The Friday night Let's All Get Paid part as a refrain really stands out, sung by Casey from Jodeci. Nice pull from Ye there. And that kind of gets dubbed over as the beat flips, and you hear, I think, for the first time the Kanye production flair kind of showing itself. It's pretty cool. And then track 4, which had already been released to this point, has a music video as the second single off this album. Talking features Northwest, Kanye's daughter, and I actually think North kind of spazzes on this. It's pretty fun. It's pretty catchy. She's, I think, been out there at 2 of the listening events now, seemingly having fun. I think the easy comparison with this would be to Adonis Graham's appearance on Drake's For All the Dogs, of course, Drake's son. And I would say Northwest just makes a bigger impression. She is older than Adonis, so it's apples to oranges. But either way, I thought it was actually pretty fun, pretty amusing, and pretty solid. It fits the song. And then you have Ty Dolla $ign drop in, and the beat just completely flips, and Ty just does his crooning, and it sounds great. Honestly, pretty cool song. I like it. And I guess it's kind of cool that North is doing stuff with her dad. Not to get into the tabloidy stuff of it all, but it's nice to see, I guess. Back to Me I think this will be a polarizing song. This probably won't work for a lot of people. This has a sample from the movie Dogma featuring the voice of Jason Mewes, the actor. And I think the beat starts great. Ty sounds good. But then you have Kanye doing this auto tune and kind of repeating the refrain of the Jason Mewes line, which is about like big booty, big breasted women dropping from the sky, something like that. And I guess like the lyrics from Kanye at this point, very reminiscent of like "I Love It," the song he did with Lil Pump a few years ago. Just kind of very juvenile, very crass. It's also very simple, like he's not really rapping too much. Um, it's kind of whatever. But then you forget about those blah Kanye bars because Freddie Gibbs shows up, Gangsta Gibbs himself, and I thought Freddie sounded great. Obviously, he always brings it. I like the Elon Musk bar he had there; that was pretty good, and he actually kind of fits it into the old refrain Kanye did from Jason Mewes. So all in all, I think the song is like pretty solid, but Kanye's the worst part of it. Hood Rat. I think this song is okay. The refrain's just kind of grating. It's like kind of like a annoying beat, honestly. Don't want to revisit it. Do It. I like this one. Ty Dolla Sign, I think, really floating. I love the '06 Gucci name drop there. Really fun song. Another noticeable beat flip here. YG showing up, of course. YG and Ty have quite the history. Cool to hear them on a song together. Pretty cool. The next song, Paperwork. The production really stands out because it's like very like industrial, which to this point we haven't really heard on Vultures. Pretty nice feature from Quavo as well. Honestly, Quavo was pretty good on Donda 2. I thought the Migos song on Donda 2 was probably the best thing about Donda 2, which isn't saying a whole lot. But Quavo, once again, acquitting himself well on Paperwork. Here, from this point out, now we have the best sequence on Vultures, the best sequence on Vultures 1, starting with the track Burn. Burn, I think, is A-list, late period Kanye West. This is top tier late period Kanye. This song is fantastic. You have Ty starting it off, incredibly groovy, singing Her Body Like a Wild Wild West. So catchy, so vibey. And then Kanye actually raps. Easily the best bars he has on the whole album. And this song had been heard in some form, of course, from the listening events. The 8 billion to take off my chains line, I think, really stands out. And ultimately, what this song makes me think about is how introspective Kanye got on Reborn, on Kids See Ghost, which is now coming up on 6 years ago. And it's really nice to hear Kanye actually be incredibly self-aware, incredibly introspective and self-reflective about his life and his current situation. It's always very topical. And I think you're getting that directly on Burn, while it also being an absolute banger because the beat goes and Ty's levitating. Like that song is fantastic. Easily the most fun song to revisit. In a sense, maybe it's because it's kind of straightforward. Like it's just basic song structure, basic production. It's not too out there, but I think like it's this perfect execution. So that's my favorite song on Vultures. That'll be on the Best of 2024 Spotify playlist. See the links below for that. Follow that. And yeah, that song is amazing. But as I said, this is only starting off a really great run on Vultures. That run continues with the next song, Fuck Some, which, man, this is a crazy song. When you think of like Kanye in the production bag, you would think of a song like this. You have Playboy Cardi giving you two different voices. Of course, we get babyface voice Cardi, which we know well, but then we also get the newer version of Cardi, which is his deeper voice that sounds a lot like Yeet, the rage music, modern rage music Cardi. You get both of those versions of Cardi on this song. You get Travis Scott, and of course you get Kanye and Ty. And ultimately, I didn't just the general hook on the song. I'm trying to fuck some right now. I mean, who among us? We feel you, Ty. We feel you on that one. I think this song is pretty cool just because like the beat is all over the place, but in a really cool way. And then just vocally, again, it goes in many directions with Cardi, Ty, Trav, and Ye. Then from there, you have the title track Vultures, which had been officially released as the first single. And this is a song that I mostly really like. I think it starts awesome. My only issue with the song is I think some of the first bars from Kanye are pretty weak. Honestly, pretty meh bars. Then you get Lil Durk showing up. He's spazzing. He's fire on this. The beat gets like super orchestral. You have these really nice bass drums, very maximalist, very Kanye-esque, like orchestral production. Sounds really cool. And then you get kind of, I think, the more like lovable dumb bars that we expect from Kanye these days, where I don't know who I fucked last night. I got Alzheimer's, which is like you just kind of chuckle at the struggle bar nature of it, but it's still kind of funny. And then the line that's probably been the most viral and probably polarizing as well is how can I be anti-Semitic? I just fucked a Jewish bitch, which apparently has been tearing the roof off when that's played live at the listening events. And if that was the only thing Kanye had said about his anti-Semitic remarks, it probably wouldn't go over as well. Obviously, he said things in a more serious manner in terms of apologies already. Um, I think it's like both funny and also kind of like crass and unnecessary. But either way, I don't know. And then after that, Ty's actually kind of spitting, kind of doing like hip hop Ty Dolla Sign. So ultimately, I think Vultures is pretty cool. Then after that Ty part, of course, you have this like Blade Runner ass instrumental outro. So a lot to that song. I think most of it's pretty cool. And then the last part of this 4-song run, you have Burn, Fuck Some, Vultures, and lastly, Carnival. Carnival starts with this like rugby / European soccer crowd in the form of a choir doing this chant. Like that's immediately where you get taken to in terms of the vibe, in terms of the feeling. But it's not a sample. It's actually new lines. And you hear these like these hooligans chanting "Head so good she honor roll." Like it's pretty epic, honestly. And then from there, from the clouds, back from the dead, you have Rich the Kid coming out of nowhere to start rapping, and he actually sounds great. Kanye bringing the best out of Rich the Kid. I mean, when was the last time we cared about Rich the Kid to this degree? I don't know. Plug Talk, New Freezer. It's been a minute, I think he sounds great, and Rich the Kid kind of jumps in and repeats that like chanty chorus with the choir that we started off the song with. This song's very cool. The yay bars though are just okay again, but then Cardi shows up to kind of close it out for us. So ultimately, Carnival again has a lot to it. I think some pretty cool touches. So I like the song. Beg Forgiveness after this. This one's kind of interesting, kind of weird. 6-minute song, kind of ends abruptly. It's all right. Yeah. I mean, like I thought it was like kind of nice singing, but I don't need to revisit it again. Good Don't Die. I like this one because it's like Sungye. It's like pretty good for Sungye too. It's kind of his first time really doing a lot of that on this album. The second to last song, Problematic. As you can imagine, that's Kanye kind of speaking about his situation. I don't know if he gets too personal on it, like he's attempting to. It's kind of surface level stuff, but the beat at the very beginning reminds me of the very beginning of the Bound 2 beat. I think that's pretty intentional. You hear it immediately. And then lastly, you have the song King, where the refrain, the chorus of this is crazy, bipolar, anti-Semite, and I'm still the king, which I guess on one hand you could take as kind of almost being flippant or not super caring about what people have said about him before. Or you can take it the other way, where he's saying that look at what he still continues to achieve despite what people say about him, which I could get behind. But again, like, bro, you said the anti-Semitic things. Like, we don't have to. It's not us. It's you. Like, just don't do that, and everyone will be more cool. So like, I can't really get behind that per se, but like in terms of a flexing like mantra to a song, it's actually not bad. Verse 2, he goes bar for bar with Ty. I wish we got more of that, honestly, because Ty is underrated for hip-hop bona fides, but he didn't really do too much of that on Vultures. Maybe we'll get it on Vultures 2 and 3, I don't know. And kind of the last bar from Kanye is a bit of a shot at Kim K in terms of how they parent. So, yeah, 16 songs. I think most of them have interesting qualities to them, and I think that run of Burn, Fuck Some, Vultures, and Carnival was incredibly special, with Burn in particular being just a A1 banger. So pretty happy with it. Ultimately, like, I actually think there's more songs I like just kind of like on their own on this than Donda. Thinking back, like I think Donda had some really big highs, like Hurricane, like Off the Grid, but Donda's an album that definitely disappointed me. I don't know. We're certainly in the Donda tier. Like we're not like approaching any other like albums better than that with this. But ultimately, I'm kind of okay with that because, like, again, where Kanye has been recently, again, due to mainly his own mistakes, his own misdeeds, I'll take something like this because there's a lot of intentionality. There's clearly a lot of effort in the production, and it feels like a real Kanye event again. And for those of us who still are invested in that Kanye experience, the good and the bad of it, I think that's a pretty good takeaway. So, yeah, see the links below for our Kanye album rankings that we did a few years ago. It's about another 90 minutes on Kanye if you want that. Obviously, not ready to rank it just yet, having just heard the album earlier today. But let me know, what did you think about Vultures/Vultures 1? Are you expecting Vultures 2 and 3? Again, we just got 16 songs. Do we really need 2 more? I'm not going to say no, but if they're fully finished and whatnot, but do you want more? Let me know what you thought. And for more rap reviews, more music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.